I don't know if you've heard, the Saints have a quarterback competition going on this offseason. You know, Derek Carr, he retired. Jake Haener just got hurt, so it seems to kind of be down to 2 for right now, at least through OTAs. And that's Tyler Shough, your second-round draft pick, and Spencer Rattler, your returning half the season starter. Obviously, I say all of that in jest. All of you have heard about that. It's been really the only storyline surrounding the Saints. Yeah, that's it. I know, Jordan, you're surprised, right?
Derek. Yeah. I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Derek Carr. Who was that?
Well, he played quarterback for the Saints for technically 2 seasons, but really, if you add it all up, it might be like a season and a third. He retired, and you drafted a quarterback. You have a few old returning, and they're competing to kind of take that position. And with OTAs underway, you're finally really getting to see your first opportunity at all of them in that. And yes, the injury to Jake Haener is a bit of a setback for him, obviously, because he'll miss the rest of OTAs, but he'll be back for training camp. And could he re-enter the competition at that point? Maybe. But if we're being honest, this really kind of always felt like it was Rattler Shough to begin with. Not to slight Jake Haener. It just, that's the feel that it always had. Interestingly enough, though, we can listen to what Kellen Moore says about it, and he's obviously going to say all the right things because he's the head coach, and he's not going to want to give, too much. And even teammates aren't going to want to do that either. But anytime a veteran player talks about 2 young guys, and I mean, look, Shough's going to be a rookie, Rattler's going into year 2. They fully meet that definition of young guy, right? Brandin Cooks, who obviously has experience in New Orleans, and for the sake of this conversation, we'll just forget how that experience in New Orleans ended. But he's a veteran who's seen a lot of football, who's played a lot of football, has played with a lot of different quarterbacks in his time, and he met with reporters after the 3rd day of OTAs on Thursday and talked a little bit about the quarterback battle. What I actually found pretty interesting, just kind of first, was he was asked if wide receivers like a quarterback competition in the offseason and in camp.
Absolutely, because I think it should bring the best out of you, and so it's fun seeing those guys compete. They're all 3 of them are having a great spring, and so it's going to be fun to watch that competition.
I just found that interesting because it's something that we never really consider, in all honesty, at least not as much as we probably should, how the quarterback competition impacts the performance of other guys on the team. And look, I mean, there's certain guys that doesn't like. Chris Olave is going to make the team, right? But for him to say, absolutely, because it should bring out the best in you, that's intriguing because, you're obviously going to have a better rapport with one guy than the other. And with them rotating reps and things, maybe you're not playing with the guy that, you always want there. But Cooks would go on and mention any advice that he would give the young players, in this particular case, quarterback.
I mean, be you. Don't try to do anything outside the box. Be coachable. Do what Kellen's trying to get you to do and lock in and let everything else take care of itself.
One more piece of sound from Cooks, then I'll get more into the thoughts and the meat and potatoes of the segment. He was asked, just his first impression through 3 OTA practices of Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough.
I mean, they letting it go. They playing with a lot of confidence, both of those guys, and you can see the competition going on. They can definitely sling it. So, I look forward to continue to see that grow.
It's important to preface this entire conversation with it is early. It is early in this competition. They've had rookie minicamp, which was just Tyler Shough, and now 3 practices during OTAs, and all they've really been doing is 7-on-7. You haven't even put the pads on. You probably won't even do that really until training camp. So it's early. But every single one of us, all you listening, me sitting here talking, all of us have our own vision and opinion of how this is going to play out. And look, Kellen Moore noted, they've rotated, and they're going to continue to rotate guys with the 1s. On Thursday, it was Spencer Rattler who took reps with the 1s, and Shough ran with the 2s. Jake Haener got some reps with the 1 earlier in the week. Obviously, Tyler Shough did as well. They're going to continue to move that through, and they should, because it's May. But it's hard for me to sit here and look at this and say, Rattler started 6 games for you a year ago, played in 7. You didn't have a win there. That's not necessarily totally his fault. Your team wasn't very good, and even the players on your team that are good were hurt. And he played behind a makeshift offensive line every week. I don't think in Rattler's time as a starter, he played behind the same offensive line because you just kept having injuries and injuries and injuries. And if he did, it was only a game or 2 that he did because you also had guys come back from injury and then go back out. That matters. You had no Chris Olave. You had no Rashid Shaheed. All of those things, that matters. And that's one of the interesting things about this is whichever guy gets that game 1 start, provided everything goes the way you want it to in camp and everybody stays healthy, you're going to get a good look at that person really for the first time. Whether it's Rattler, whether it's Shough, because you should have your full complement going in. Like, you think I need to see Chris Olave do anything in preseason games? No. Wrap him in bubble wrap, just stick him on the sideline and have him ready to go week 1 when you play the Cardinals. So you can ensure that whichever guy gets the first crack at this starting job has the full complement of weapons. Now, that's kind of a different conversation in and of itself as well, because in a new system, you do need to see that, guys can operate in a game like, atmosphere with it, but you can simulate enough of that in joint practices and things of that nature. So that's really the interesting part. And that takes care of the whole, okay, you never really got a full look at Spencer Rattler. Do you really know what you have there? And I think if you're looking at it objectively, the answer is no. Because he did do some good things, even with the makeshift team around him. But again, it's hard for me to look at this and not just go, yes, Rattler's got the experience. And there's no substitute for that. What do you always hear? The best coach a player can have is playing time. It's one of the great cliches in sports, but the reason it's one of the great ones is because it's true. And he's got that at the NFL level. But the thing that I just can't get away from with this, and this would have applied to Jake Haener as well, is they were both drafted by the previous coach. Tyler Shough is Kellen Moore's guy. That's the guy he liked. Thought enough of him that the Saints spent a second-round pick on him. The first time in their history they've drafted a quarterback in the second round, and only the second time they've drafted one in the first 2 rounds. You've heard that ad nauseum now, but it's worth reiterating for this conversation. You have a guy coming in Kellen Moore who is trying to establish his football team. And for me, even sitting here on May the 23rd, it's just hard for me to get around that idea that it won't be Tyler Shough getting that first crack because it's the head coach's guy. That's the one he drafted. He likes how he fits into his system. He's going to want to try to go win with his guy. Not to say they're not going to actually, play this out and make it a fair competition or anything like that. I'm sure they will. But again, it's his guy. You see that all the time. Look at Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, they could have retained Jameis Winston. That was Sean's guy. When he was finally able to go get his guy, Derek Carr, didn't that work out great? He went and got him. A guy he drafted back in Oakland and all of those things. Like, that's who Tyler Shough is to Kellen Moore. So, look, I love hearing Brandin Cooks, a veteran wide receiver, going, man, they're playing with confidence. Like, he would know. He knows what a confident quarterback looks like. They can really sling it. That's great. But the big question is, one of them's actually got NFL experience, but the other one's the head coach's guy. I think track record for head coaches speaks plenty that they go with their guy at least to start, and if it doesn't work out, then you could see somebody else. But one thing's for sure, whoever gets that first snap, you're going to get a good look at them because they should have a full complement of weapons this go-round in a brand new offense. And you should be able to know pretty early how it's going to go. We'll see. Saints will open the season against the Cardinals in the Dome come September.
Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.